Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. And the Sharks have named their side to face the Bulls this weekend in the Vodacom URC Origins round, which is very cool. It's basically when all the players wear the socks of the schools they came from to kind of celebrate the diversity and the schools that sort of feed into our players' pipeline. But unfortunately, if you look at the squad, you'll see a massive hole, and that's because they have 19 players unavailable for this weekend. 16 of those are injuries. I mean, it's almost a full squad 23 of players who are not available, and more than a full starting 15 of players who are currently injured. That's quite worrying as well. You're a Springbok fan looking at some of the injuries, for example, particularly the amidst injury, where he basically had some longer lasting concussion symptoms. We're now going into, the second week of February, and he is still not available. Now, the good news, I suppose, is that they said they very much want to make sure that he's right before putting him back. But it's very worrying that the Sharks have got so many injuries, and lots of these players are players that we need to see getting game time if they want to put their hands up for Springbok selection. And more to the point, from a Springbok point of view, we need some of these players getting back into form. Before we look at the 19 players unavailable, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. So of the 19 players unavailable, there are two players who are on Springbok leave. That is Jaden Henkser and Siya Kolisi. So basically how it works is that the local sides have got agreements with SA Rugby that they will rest players of national interest, sort of pony players, as Rusty Rasmus talks about them, to ensure that they get ample rest in the season. So I think it's about 2 weeks usually they get where they don't play and they can and basically rest and recharge to ensure that their player workload is managed, because of the fact that they obviously go from the URC straight into box season, into the sort of incoming tour, into the rugby championship. Then there's a month of URC, back to the end of year tour, and there's no sort of official rest period. So they do work closely with the unions to ensure that there is enough rest period. So you got those two players who are on Springbok leave, and then you got Makazole Mapimpi, who is currently serving a suspension for that incident against Cardiff. If you look at the players who are injured, this is the list as follows: Andre Esterhuizen, April Lefasi, Bryce Calvert, Diego Polis, Dylan Richardson, Eben Etzebeth, Emil van Heerden, Faison Barter, Gebrand Krobler, Hakeem Konene, James Fenter, Kwesi Mora, Marlon Tuka, Marlon Sportkita, Nick Hatton, Oxenchair, and then Siya Kolisi. So 4 Springbok players currently injured in that Shark squad. The big one I think to worry about is the Eben Etzebeth situation. We really need to see him getting back to full fitness, full health, because we very much back him to get to the next World Cup. But when you start getting these sort of complications when it comes to injuries, then it starts to sort of raise doubts about, can these players get to the next World Cup, and how do you get them to the next World Cup? How much do you have to limit their playing time to ensure, first of all, that they're fit enough and battle hard and to be able to go through a full World Cup, but also that they're not playing to the ground before that and then they just don't make it. So, I mean, for the Sharks, it's not great at all. I mean, you look, they've still got, obviously, a quality side, but there's just lots of holes. And you look at the pack, for example, and you've got Bongi Manambi, Vincent Tukapesi Buthelezi as your sort of your current sort of big players. You've got Trevor Nyakani and Tuka in the front row. Obviously been capped. Trevor Nyakani very experienced, but sort of getting on in years, and into Tuka who is sort of on the fringe Springbok camp. You got Corey Roll, youngster Jason Jenkins. But, I mean, even in the backline, for example, Jurenzo Julius is probably playing far more than he anticipated. And he's a great player, and it's good to see him playing. But you do worry at a player that young having to play so much. So the backline's not bad. Yao Penkley is a player who's been under a little bit of criticism recently, but I think he's a solid player. But you look at the bench, for example, and that's where it really starts to look very, very thin. Ethan Bester, Rowan Dre, Honor Jacobs, Labus Labuskakni, Yannis Porkita, Bradley Davis, Francois Fenter, and Yaku Williams. So if you're a Bulls fan, you're looking at that team going, I don't think we can get a job done over there. If you're a Sharks fan, you're wondering, well, what is going on? How can you be in the unit with 16 injuries? And what are the reasons? Because you don't want to see these kind of trends. Obviously, teams will always have injuries. It's a contact sport. It's part of the game. But when you start seeing 16 injuries, you start to worry about, is there an issue with the conditioning? Is there an issue with the training, for example? What is going on in a unit when you see such a long injury list? And this continues to be one of the reasons why we'll struggle to compete on all different fronts, because now you've got to go into this weekend without 19 players available. The minute you sort of pick up an injury or two on this weekend, which is very likely, that's only number 20, 21, for example. All of a sudden, you're seeing with 18, 19 injuries, and those injuries are currently out, return next week. So it's very worrying if you're a Sharks fan, and difficult to know exactly what the situation is. But maybe sort of paints a picture of how we've got some very good players in these squads. But as soon as injuries, like an injury class like this, goes on, all of a sudden you start to see where the cracks might be starting to show through, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the Sharks cope this weekend with a lot of youngsters in the side, a lot of players who don't get a lot of game time. They've got the opportunity to go and really show John Plumtree and the squad what they're all about. The question is, can they get a result with these players, or do the Bulls sit there, look there, and go, right, no, we actually really fancy our chances? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.